What's going on, guys? Welcome to Monday Night Football preview show. I'm your host, Ben Carey, of course, and Steffi Smalls joining us as guest. How are we doing tonight?
Doing good. Two double header. A little bit weird that they're at the same time, but the schedulers have been weird all year, so not entirely shocking.
Yeah, so I actually don't really understand why we're doing two tonight. I'm actually not complaining, but did they announce this earlier, like in the season, like, hey, we're gonna do this, or was it just on the schedule and it was just like, oh, hey, there's two Monday night games?
Yeah, I feel like, and they've had in the beginning of the year, there was a couple that were like this, but they didn't start at the same time. You at least got a staggered start where it was like 7:30 or 7:45 Eastern, and then at 8:15. But a little weird that they're doing it at the same time, especially when your team is on. I hate that. So it kind of sucks for me. But two TVs, it'll be all right.
That kind of felt like me last night or yesterday when the Broncos were playing the Chargers and the Chiefs and Bills were on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what's going on in this game? And then for the first time, I think all season, the Broncos actually won a game in like somewhat easy fashion where I could actually like turn the game off near the end and watch another game. Usually it's coming down to the wire or we're getting our asses kicked to the Dolphins and we're down like 60 points.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know about that very well as a Giants fan.
So everyone is hopping in chat. If you're just tuning in and you just hopped in chat, come say what up. You guys kind of know the drill. Tonight we have two games, though, of course. We'll go through the Titans and Dolphins first, and then the Packers and the Giants. I'm sure Steph has a lot to say about that one. Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, let's start with this first one. So obviously it's a pretty big point spread.
Right.
I'm showing 14, and that can make things with the prop market kind of tricky. And actually it's 13.5. So it's come down. 13.5 is the number. Total at 44.5. When you look at these big spreads just as a whole, what are your like first initial thoughts? Are they games that you typically like to have bets in? You don't, or does it not really change anything?
It kind of depends on the matchup. I actually got a little bit lucky this weekend because I was on the Seahawks plus 13.5, but that I don't think that was anticipated from anyone. I think in a case like this, I stayed away from the spread entirely, and that's out of respect, I think, to Vrabel too. But then you look at Tennessee; they're like the only winless team on the road, six losses on the road here. So 13.5, I don't love it. And we've seen what Miami can do. Like they've dominated teams multiple times on multiple occasions by tons of points. So this is a game that I stayed away from the spread entirely.
Yeah, I stayed away from the spread too. I would probably lean with the Dolphins, but maybe that's just me seeing what they did to the Broncos a while back. And look, the whole thing with that game is like the Broncos, it's a different team. They had a lot of injuries in that spot, but this total's kind of low too. I mean, for a point spread like this, I mean, it's essentially saying that the Titans are going to score a lot of points. Do you think they can actually put up some points? I mean, could even be garbage time.
Yeah, I think it would be garbage time. And you look at Miami, they're allowing like 17 or fewer in their past like 4 out of 5 last game, somewhere around there. Their team total, I think, was sitting at 15.5. This total is actually for this game has come down because at least for my stream, I think it was sitting at 45.5. Did you say it's 44 now?
Yeah, I'm showing 44 and a half, but yeah, 45 is kind of consensus. There's a little bit of wind, I think, in this one. Did you see any of that or no?
I feel like weather kind of went over my head as far as both these games went, but that
was a great dad joke, even though it sounded like it was on.
Shit, yeah. I hang out. I mean, I talk to men all day, so
I know Jason's a dad. I'm a dad.
It leaks in, yeah.
Oh, I have to ask you, when you had that post about a player who is like your new favorite dad or something, who is that in the next game?
It's in the next game, yeah.
Okay. We're
and I'm a little bit annoyed because it seems like people finally caught on to him a little bit, so I kind of hate that. But I found ways to play him.
Do you get mad when you see people like tweeting about it and you're like, "He's mine"?
Yeah, because
mine.
And you know what it's like. I mean, you never really get credit for your wins or your early pickups. People love to trash you when you lose something. But like I've been on this guy and betting him for multiple weeks now, so it's very obnoxious. But we'll get to it when we get to the next.
Yeah, no, it's fun when you find those players like
Yeah.
Trey McBride. I mean, he's been my dude since last year, and I think people are getting sick of me talking about him. And I'm like, guys, just trust me on this. When Ertz, if Ertz goes out or whatever, like this guy's a dog.
Yeah.
And finally he started to pop up. But now it's to the point where everyone knows about him and his line's like 68. I'm like,
right.
Holy
crap. It's not fun
that's,
anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty high. Okay, so let's talk about quarterback props real quick. So I was kind of eyeing Tua's numbers a little bit for unders because part of my thinking was they could get up and maybe park the bus, but I also don't want to just overthink things and watch the game. And I'm like, why did I even touch an under with Tua, right? Like it can go both ways pretty easily, but his pass attempt, it's at 31.5. And I kind of think that's a little high, especially when you have plenty of running backs who can carry the rock for the Dolphins. Can. You have Mostert. You have even Wilson will get some touches. And there's even a fourth who gets some touches.
God, what's his
spacing
name?
his name.
I know, me too.
I mean, they'll put anyone.
They'll find anyone to run the ball.
Like they don't really care. I kind of feel like they're just on the sideline. They're just like, hey, go in there. Yeah. And
exactly.
Next one and come out. Anything with Tua, and I mean, either Tua or Levis. Do you have any props with them?
No, I eyed out Levis's rushing yards, but I didn't end up clicking it. Stayed away from both of them. Wouldn't be surprised if or these guys throw an interception tonight. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Levis is always I think that they will try to run the ball early and often, but they're going to give him those opportunities to take, those chances downfield, like we see him do at, a couple
lot of
times.
Deep balls, right?
A lot of deep balls.
It's almost like they're like, hey, just run a go route. And I'm gonna chuck it up there.
And you can see that because you even look at what his longest like pass line is at. It was like 36.5, 35.5, which is pretty high for some of these quarterbacks. They're not usually set as high as that. But when he is throwing the ball downfield, I mean, it is going downfield, 30 plus yards. So I understand it. But I look more towards like Chig. His longest reception was a little bit interesting tonight because it's pretty low. But I kind of stayed away from the quarterbacks, at least in this game.
Yeah, it's funny. Levis has a passing number at 200, and then his longest completion is 35.5. So it's kind of funny because it's like, typically you'd be like, oh, his number's over like 200, pretty good there. But it's like, oh no, it's only 30,
right?
Only 200 and then 35 for that number. So kind of a weird ratio because he does like to throw a lot of deep balls and then a lot of check downs. It's like he doesn't really have that intermediate passing game.
No.
Let's talk about receivers and tight ends. You said Chig you were kind of looking at.
Yeah, I was looking at his longest reception was 16.5. Went over that 2 straight weeks. Nothing super impressive this year, but Miami has been a little susceptible to the tight end position. So I think that is an interesting spot there. I'm not sure what his receptions are up at. I think they were a little bit too high for my liking when I had looked. Maybe it was 3.5, I want to say.
For Chig.
Yeah.
Those first few games, though, he was getting so many targets, and then I think the market kind of caught up. I bet if it's a 3.5, it's got to be pretty juiced to the over, right?
I believe it was.
Because let me see. I have it right here.
Okay.
It's actually not. Oh, it's actually not that bad.
No, it's not.
I actually thought it would be kind of flipped the other way odds wise. Has he been quiet like the last game?
Last 2 weeks he has not, but then prior to that, I mean, it depends. He's not putting up numbers like some of these really great tight ends that we see week to week, but pretty decent 2 past weeks.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I was looking at that and I'm like, I mean, plus money. That's not the worst.
I know. Look. I think that number moved from when I looked at it earlier. Actually, that might be a last minute bet there.
And his receiving yards is at 30, but I personally kind of lean with the receptions more so than I do the yards on that one. Let's see here. Let's talk about Derrick Henry. You brought him up earlier. Is this going to be one of those games where he gets like 16, 17, maybe even like 20 touches? Or I guess I'll put it this way. They would try to get him those touches, but it kind of depends what's going on with the game if they get down early. But could you see it kind of being a run-heavy game if possible for the Titans?
Yeah, it should be. And I think also if they get down, we could see a little bit more Spears too. And, Henry had that essentially concussion that just kind of got thrown to the wayside. He definitely looks like he got hurt. Then he's totally fine. And I like Spears at least. I think his rushing yards was fairly low for a guy that gets like 5 yards a carry. So he can do that. He can go well over that number pretty quickly. Henry's so tough because it's either, I feel like there's no in between here. Or they use him a lot in the receiving game too. So I wouldn't be surprised. I think his receiving yards was like 8.5 at one point, might be up a little bit now, but I don't think that's a bad look either.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if the Dolphins run just a lot of man and then try to pressure Levis, because you have Ramsey and Howard back there as corners, and Levis, he'll throw the ball deep, but he's not going to like pick you apart with accuracy wise. So I wonder if this is a game where there's a lot of pressure and he just struggles to find time. I haven't looked at like the Dolphins and are they running like too high or man or whatever, but it does seem like a game they have the pieces that they could do that with and just kind of tee off. The reason why I kind of bring that up right now is because I typically don't look at the sack market, but I feel like he could get sacked quite a bit in this game.
Oh, 100%.
Anyone in chat have sack numbers for me? There's always like a few people who
I have some for the next game, but let's see what we got here for this game too.
Yeah, let's see here.
Feels like it could be a sack heavy night.
Yeah. Who's the new DN now? Well, I think starter, because what's his face got hurt for the Dolphins. I guess he's more of an edge linebacker. Jalen Phillips got hurt, so it's.
I feel like I am so disconnected from Miami for some reason. Like I just know that they're good, and I've kind of just ignored them. I feel like I don't bet a lot of their games.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the value had been like sucked out of their games also because they were so good and scoring so many points for so long. It was hard to find even any value in those games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the market has definitely caught up with them, and it begs the question, have they over adjusted for the performance so far? But I would say, yeah, as far as like sack numbers,
Van Ginkel is interesting.
Those could be what do you see for
he's over a quarter, minus 120 on DK. I don't love that though.
Yeah. It's just like weird because they're a balanced team, but then if the game plays out the way I think we all think it will, there's going to be a lot of opportunities where he's going to be a sitting duck in the pocket. So
yeah,
those would be some interesting ones. And let's see, Bradley Chubb should feast. Yeah, he should. Also, this is random. The Dolphins social media account posted his like pregame warm-up tracks, and it's like Little Baby and Future. But I feel like they all listen to Future, and I always just think of like when the Seahawks trolled Russell Wilson and they played like Future for the whole warm up. I was like, that's fucked up, man.
It's fucked up.
And we lost that game too, so to make matters worse.
All right.
Anyways, let's see here. Interception though, are you gonna do the signature like interception parlay?
Yeah, I definitely have Jordan.
Well, you could do 4.
We could do 4. I wonder what you could get on that. I didn't even think to it.
Well, let's wait to talk about
we will
at the end.
Let's see where that moved to. I posted it earlier. I think that there was plus money on Tua. I wonder if that has changed. I just don't love that because I think they're plus 106.
Yeah, it's scary, right? If they get up and then you're just like.
And Will Levis's number was just gross. Like at some point, as much as I love them, it's hard to bet like some of these ridiculous numbers.
Well,
like
when it's minus 150.
Yeah, minus 150,
Yeah.
minus 158 some places. Just a little too much, which it should be that number, because I do think that the chances that he throws one is very high.
Yeah. This is interesting. Van Ginkel hasn't gotten a sack in 7 games. I think with him being minus 120 tells you everything. Well, part of that I think is because Phillips is out.
Mm-hmm.
But also I think it is a little telling, right? Like,
yeah,
they're going to be up, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities. What about Bradley Chubb's number? Does anyone see that? I didn't look at these sack numbers, but like, I mean, sometimes the calls go this way, right? We're talking and we're like, oh crap, the sack market might be where it's at.
Over 0.75 minus 105.
Ooh, so
that's tempting.
Got to get at least a full sack, or
see, then you're better off. Like, let's see what FanDuel, because they usually just do
half.
To do a full one is minus 130.
Yeah, but then you could also push though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the
Titans O-line his ass.
Yeah, they have
it is. Yeah.
Titans are a weird team. Like, I feel like headed into the season, there were a lot of people who were really down on them, but then there was a lot of people who were like, no, I think they have enough pieces. And I'm like, yeah, but the quarterback position, like, what side of the fence were you on with that?
Here's the thing is, I think what's happening is people still want to show their respect to Vrabel and how good of a coach he is.
That's what it is.
And I think that that's lingering in, like, because we saw last season a lot, they would play up to competition and then play down. They were a team that, like, it was so much fun to take them against the spread last season. But this season, it's just a little bit different. We're not getting the same quality on the field. Their defense, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. Simmons is out, like, and Levis, he's Levis. Like, I don't know how strongly I feel. I know everyone was really excited about seeing him come in, but I don't know how big of a difference you're getting with him. And
how's his ex-girlfriend doing these days, right?
She looks great, honestly. Like,
I know there was like all this conversation about that, and I'm like, people can just split up because they can split up.
Yeah, and they're young. People forget these are young kids. Like,
yeah, like 6 years ago. I wouldn't want to date myself back then. Really like Waddle. Yeah, we didn't really talk a lot about the receivers for Miami, but I mean, it's kind of a given. But I'm curious to play with Waddle. Is it just because Hill's number is so high, and like, it's like we don't want to touch what is it, 115?
It's something ridiculous now. Again, like, I tweeted out, I get it, and he'll probably go over that number, and it wouldn't shock me. But at the same time, like, that's not a number I'm touching. It reminds me of Cooper Kupp, like a couple years ago, whatever that was, when he started approaching that record season. Like, I just
and he was hitting them though. He was hitting them.
Yeah, he was.
Titans missing their best DB. It's who is that? I'm spacing it.
I think it's. I don't know.
They've started to have some injuries pile up, but a lot of teams have, right? Like, this is that time of the year.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Oh yeah, Fulton.
Okay. As you stream all day long, I'm like, I just can't remember anyone's
I know
name.
you're like I've talked about them like multiple times.
Yeah,
I know how it goes.
I like Waddle's receptions too. And I saw someone else like
4.5.
4.5. Some places it's I couldn't 5.5 plus 120. I think I saw that. Yeah. Waddle's an interesting look for first touchdown. I saw Trent is on it, which is I gave it out earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm screwed now. But I think the 4.5 is a good look. It's probably pretty juice at this point.
The record for Hill, it's to try. He wants to break the single season receiving record. So what is he at right now? Could it be this game?
No, not that. I mean, that would be freaking crazy.
Oh no, that wouldn't make any. No, but wait, he could go over. He could go over 2,000. Is that what it is?
I don't think today.
That's still too high, right?
He's at 1,481.
Okay, that'd be way too high. I know we're passing league, but that would be a little ridiculous. Okay, so to keep on pace, he needs to probably get over 100.
Yeah,
obviously, right?
Yeah, and he could probably have it down. I don't even know what their schedule looks like the rest of the way, but
he does have a head coach who would play into that too.
Yeah, he does. So, I like his longest reception. I know it's come up quite a bit. It was like 30.5, 31.5. I think it's all the way up to 32.5 now.
Yeah, he could get 500 tonight.
Oh yeah.
What's his break?
1,000, another
Yeah.
1,000 be done. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like in that Broncos game, he probably could have 300 if he wanted, but
Yeah.
oh well. Okay, cool. Last thing, Henry. We did talk a little bit about him. I think both of us are worried if Titans get down and it just becomes like a Tajay Spears game, but also sometimes you can overthink these things just because it's a 14-point spread. It can come down to the fourth quarter, and then it's a 7-point game, and then it becomes a 14. So it's hard to say, but I'm personally staying away from Henry today.
I think his receiving yards, I don't know what his receptions is at. I'm sure it's probably not something I want to touch, but his receiving prop was interesting earlier. Talked about it a little bit on my show, but let's see. He's at
Henry.
Yeah, 8.5. Like I could see it. Receptions 1.5. Probably staying away from the receptions, but receiving yards, I think I could get down with.
Yeah, I could just take one right there. Cool. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the premier game tonight, right?
Yeah.
The one with the closest point spread. Mm-hmm. So it could be the best game. Packers and of course the Giants. So what are you feeling right now?
I know Coin Snatcher is in here, so he's not going to love a lot of my comments, but I'll be as nice as I am not as in love with this whole Tommy DeVito thing as everyone else. I think that the New York Giants fans should be a little bit nervous that this is the game that he comes back down to earth, because I think that Green Bay's D has been playing very well. With that being said, I love the Giants defense. I think they're playing much better than people think. So I did take the Giants on my show when it was 6.5. I'm probably not touching it. I think it's down to 5.5 now, the spread there.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But feels a little bit like a good letdown spot for Green Bay. Yeah, I don't love the hype.
Why? Because you think it's superficial, it's fake. It's just gonna.
I don't know what. I think it's so funny. I don't know what the excitement is, to be completely honest. Like the whole fan base, you guys want a good draft pick, but then you're rooting for this guy and buying T-shirts and buying jerseys. And while I think it's awesome because now you found a cheap backup that has success and now is going to be in the system for more than 1 year, and I think there's a lot to that. But it's just, I don't know. There's chicken cutlets I'm Italian, so I'm allowed to say this. There's just chicken cutlets all over my timeline. It's a little too much for me.
Yeah. Well, part of me, like looking at it from the outside, it feels like everyone, majority of Giants fans have accepted the fate of the team this year. And it's just like, hey, this is going to get us by for a month. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but just wait, because I know this fan base very well. And the second he has a bad game, which again, he has not played the way that the fan base acts, to be clear. But when he has a bad game, they're going to be burning his jersey. Like, I've seen this story before.
It's the classic. We'll build you up and we'll tear you down.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, real quick, going back to the last game, what was your favorite prop in that one? I just wanted to put it on the screen.
Oh,
or anything. It could be any bet. It could be a.
So I think that Jordan Love is going to throw an interception tonight. He's had 3 clean games.
First game.
Oh, Dontavian Wicks?
No. Oh. I'm talking about for the for the
last game?
Yeah, for the last game.
I like A-Chain longest rush over 15.5 yards.
Ooh, okay. I'm just going to put it down.
Minus 106.
Minus 106.
Yes.
I like those longest
Me
rush
too.
props. That's actually a pretty good number.
And when he goes over, especially when I look at these longest rush, longest reception markets, I love the guys that when they do go over, I mean, they're going over by like 20 to 40 yards.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to worry about like, let's see the measurement here, or like see what.
Right.
I sometimes get caught up in those, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
I'm like doing the math like in real time, and I'm like, I feel like that was 16 yards, and then it's like 14-yard gain. You're like, damn it. I'm like looking at the first down line. And I'm like, oh shit, it was 2nd and 7 though.
Yeah. And he's gone over this 3 of 6 played. So, and that's looking at all the games that he's played. So half the games, I'm cool with it. And again, like AJ is also the guy that they're not taking him out when they're up. So I'm not worried about him not playing the entire game either. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for him to go over, and 15.5 for a guy like that is really not a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. So to this Giants game, So you just mentioned Jordan Love. Is that
Yeah.
to throw an interception?
Yes.
Okay. What's the number there?
I think it's down to like plus 105. It opened plus 110 at some point. 3 straight games, no interception. But again, I think the Giants defense has a good night tonight. They're going to get Love to try to throw the ball. And the Giants C's recorded like 8 interceptions in the past last 3 games. Like they're just playing very well right now. And all good things have to come to an end. Not that I think Jordan Love isn't going to have a good game, but I think to throw 1 interception is not really asking a lot of him.
So I have a take with Jordan Love. I basically, for the most part, I feel like where he's at now is kind of where I expected him to be. Now, before those games, like the up and down, I mean, he technically isn't a rookie, but I think a lot of people kind of felt like he was entering a rookie year, even though he wasn't, because it was kind of his first, full season opportunity. But it seems like when he does really well, the next game, it's almost like the market over adjusts. And then vice versa, when he goes down and has a bad game, it's almost too low. Like I feel like we can't get him right. And I almost feel like this is a game where, if he does come out and play really well, limits turnovers, like I'll have to tip my hat, but it just feels like one of those games where he's going to struggle a little bit. There's no Watson. I know they have other receiving threats. We'll talk more about them, but Watson has been a pretty consistent, safety blanket on plays where, let's throw it up to Watson, right?
Yeah.
And now you don't really have that as much. I mean, do you think, like, I know Wicks and Romeo Dobbs can kind of step in a little bit, but do you think the receivers can collectively fill that void, or do you think it's actually going to be a bigger absence as well? Aaron Jones is out too. I know he's been out, but
yeah. And I think also, I mean, again, like people are really not giving. And again, this is why I don't know why people are like, if you want to be excited about something this Giants season, just be excited about the defense. Like you don't need to get all like giddy about this like undrafted quarterback that we have. Like you be excited about the defense because the defense is playing great. One of the things that they do well is they have been stopping the run pretty well. So, and I'll give it AJ Dillon. I've never been a huge fan. Never been someone that I drafted in fantasy, never been someone that I bet on a lot. If I have bet on him, I've kind of got burnt. I think that, the Giants can contain him. Christian Watson is an interesting one because I think he's also very like spike weak and you don't know what you're going to get. Jaden Reed was one of my favorite prospects going in. I like what he's doing. I think Dontavian Wicks too, a little bit upset that people are so like catching on to him because for a while that was like my guy that has been winning.
It was really sneaky. Like he was
really sneaky.
His numbers would be at I even remember it was either it was the second or third game. His number was like 5.5.
Yeah.
His receiving yards. So definitely kind of out of the bag now. With those receivers though, is there anyone in particular that you fired something up in?
Yeah, I took Wicks before. I gave him out last week, his receiving yards. I don't feel as great about it now that everyone's jumping in on it. I still like his longest reception over 17.5. Was sitting at minus 114. He's gone over that in 4 straight games. Another type of guy who goes very, very over.
36.5?
Oh my gosh. See, I got it at 31.5, 30.
That's just crazy. I mean, even 30, I'm like, I would have played it at 30, but like, I know it's a difference of 5 yards and doesn't seem like a lot, but the volume isn't going to be there as much as it will be for, I would say even Reed. So you got to be careful. I think the longest reception makes a little more sense. Would you play that still at 17.5?
Yeah, I would. And I saw, this is the first time I've seen these on FanDuel. I don't know if I tweeted them out earlier. So they had player to record the longest reception of the game. He was plus 700 for that. I liked that actually. And then there's player most receiving yards. He was plus 650 and Hyatt was plus 950. And I think there actually is value there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're saying Hyatt at, sorry, you cut out a little bit.
That's all right.
The bet again.
So FanDuel had these 2 like separate props, whatever they are. Player to
Specialty type
record
spots, yeah.
the player to record the longest reception of the game. Wicks was plus 700. And then most receiving yards was plus 650 for Wicks, but Hyatt was plus 950.
Yeah, that kind of seems
Which seems crazy to me, to be honest, because, and I think it's just because it is the Giants, it is DeVito, and I think they're expecting DeVito to not play the way that people think he's going to play tonight, not to be too negative. And I hope I'm wrong. Like, I never root for my team to lose. I'm always going to root for my team to win and have success. But it's a kid that's coming off of his last game, over 100 yards. DeVito
he's not going to surprise anyone. Like, the safeties are going to kind of understand, like, he has speed. He actually is one of the fastest wide receivers. So, like, it's going to be tougher.
Love is going to spread the ball out, and there's not as much of that going on the Giants. It's really Hyatt or Slayton, and I think that they're trying to work Hyatt in for a reason.
Was I hyping up Watson too much?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, but I think there were a lot of things going on. Like, I don't think it was all him. I think some of the game plan with him was really weird. But I will admit, though, like, as far as receivers go, I think Reed has been more consistent than him, though. Sure. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I kind of got on pretty early too, but
what's he sitting at now? I think I looked and I stayed away because he's still lower than 43.5. Like, that's
43. So one thing with Reed that I've noticed ever since that Thanksgiving Day game, and maybe there was like a few other games or, quarters where it didn't fit, but there was a time where he was going deep a lot, and it was either like, he would catch a deep pass or he wasn't going to catch anything under like 5 yards. But then that changed a little bit. Like, they would do little bubble tunnel screens to him. So his receptions sitting at minus 140, over 3.5. I know it's a little juiced, but I don't hate that. On ESPN Bet, I think, has it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the worst price in the world.
I don't disagree with you. I see someone put Reed rushing yards, and I actually would love to know if you know a book that has Reed's rushing yards up. I know last week he didn't have that, but I think taking a look at his receiving and rushing, I think that's 50.5. He could. That's
one way to play it, right?
I think that's one way to go, because he does end up, it's not super consistent, but it was there for a while a couple weeks ago. So if you get 20 yards on the ground from him, I mean, you're already probably going to get over there.
Yeah. Also, this is it's called Tidbit, by the way.
Those things are cool.
Yeah, you should hit them up. Actually, they might hook you up. They hook me
really?
up. Yeah.
Okay, I will.
I got the college basketball going on. I should have put NFL on there. Nice. Yeah, now I can put standings on there, and I can put AFC West because the Broncos are only one back.
That's there we go. Man. I like it.
What a time to be alive.
And what a switch, huh? Like, it really.
I know, last time I was on, I'm like, we're tanking. I mean, that has been a crazy 180. I'm actually surprised. But Jerry Jeudy, what is he doing out there?
I don't know. And it's crazy because I do wonder if he ends up being the guy that goes to another team and we see a little bit of a resurgence. I just don't think it's working there. And sometimes we see that, like, these guys that should be elite, they're elite talent, it's just not working for some reason. They go somewhere else and they just end up having like a nice, rest of their career.
I would actually bet on that happening. And I would be fine with that happening because I think there's starting to become this population of Broncos fans who are getting pretty bitter with him. But hey, if we can get like I don't even know if we can get a second round for him.
Yeah.
But even a third rounder, because I think they've done a lot of studies on this. Like, after the third round, the talent like starts to drop pretty.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, if anyone looks on your team right now, it's like, oh, there's not a lot of guys still on NFL rosters past like the fourth round. It's just how it is, of course. So
yeah,
see if we could get something for him. Okay, so back to this game. We talked a little bit about AJ Dillon. Here's a question for you. Patrick Taylor. Do we think there's like any chance of him doing something? The only reason I ask is because, of course, he's the second running back in this game, but the Packers have just been handing the ball off religiously to Dillon, and it's like Patrick Taylor gets he gets snaps, but doesn't get a lot of touches. But at some point, I mean, I've watched him with my own eyes. Like, I feel like he's a good change of pace guy.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, I didn't realize like he had 29 yards last week. Like that's kind of sneaky. Do they even have a line up for him? They do.
Yeah, they do. And
10.5 minus 110.
And I guarantee you this is what people are looking at. I'm showing 11, by the way, or sorry, 13.
That's Bet Rivers has it at 10.5. DraftKings 13.5.
But even third. Okay, so here's my thinking. I think a lot of people are just like, hey, AJ Dillon, he's just going to get the ball every time, da da da. And there's some truth to that, like I mentioned. But at a certain time, like you got to get your other guys some touches, or it's just going to be, AJ Dillon can't run the ball consistently that often. Like he just gets too tired. We watched him play, and I know he's, what do they call him, Quadzilla?
Yeah.
I think there could be some low hanging fruit. I just get scared with these where you play it and then he gets like 2 carries and that's it.
Yeah, but again, too, like it's that's not that many. He could even just have 1 carry and go over that. So, and I see someone in the chat talking about Paris Campbell. He's out. He's actually out. So I think they announced it right before I jumped on. He also has not been getting a lot of snaps. He's returning. I don't know. He's just it was again. This is kind of.
Did you see that same game parlay where the guy played over 2.5 receptions and then under like 17 yards and it hit?
No.
Yeah. It was like plus 12. It was like 1,200 plus 1,200.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's just catching all those dump downs from Daniel Jones. Daniel
Bellinger is interesting if you want like.
So that's who I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
He's kind of a safety net, right?
Yeah, and he's not, he hasn't been very involved. Another guy that we're not seeing a lot of, saw a little bit more at the end of last year. Then he had the eye injury. But 15.5. And again, we've seen Green Bay not be fantastic against, opposing tight ends. So if you want to take a flyer on someone, I think he's a really interesting one to do. Like to score a touchdown, he's plus 850. First TD is 40-1. So depending on how you want to play it, but his yards 15.5. There's not really much to that. I wouldn't be against, I talked about a little bit on my show. So he might be worth looking at.
Yeah. Something interesting with him is with Waller out, of course. And even going back to last year, he was one of the best blocking tight ends, like per PFF. So he's going to be on the field quite a bit. It just comes down to can he get those receptions?
Which makes me think of Lawrence Cager.
Another
depending
guy.
How gross you want to get, him to score a touchdown is 20-1, which is interesting.
I'm looking at the first TD, 66-1.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't hate it. I don't hate either of these defenses either. Like, I think Giants defense to score a touchdown. At one point it was 11-1 today. I took it at 10-1, and they're to score the first touchdown is like 40-1. So I think that is a little bit mispriced.
Yeah, that is actually pretty interesting. Any other props that caught your eye in this one?
Going against the Giants a little bit here. Rashawn Gary was he over a half a sack, minus 140. I think this has moved because I noticed it got popular towards the end of the day. I hate when that happens because you give it out, it's a nice number, and then it sucks. I think he has 4.5 sacks the last 3 games. Also like Preston Smith as well. DeVito's taking a sack 1 in 4 dropbacks. This guy is
crazy.
He's gonna, I know I saw people talking about Evan Neal. Evan Neal, I genuinely don't think it makes that big of a difference whether he's in or out of the game. I haven't been accounting that for a lot, but I think that they'll get to DeVito several times tonight.
What were the two again? I want to put those on the banner. So
Rashawn Gary.
How do you spell his first name? I don't know.
Rashan. Let's see what that number is at now. And I think it's now over 3/4 sack. Because I know I saw it start getting popular, which again, I hate when that happens, but I got it minus 140. Let's see what it's at.
Yeah, so the 4 for 4 guys on Friday, I was listening to their pod, and that Ryan guy is like so good with the sack props.
He's so good. Yeah.
And on Friday they didn't have these out, but he was basically saying he's like I'm gonna play like all of these. I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know right now.
I took quite a few. Like Rashawn Gary is, over 3/4 sack minus 150. I took Preston Smith. That number now is only over a quarter minus 125. I also took Thibodeau to get one over a quarter minus 105, strictly based on what he was wearing tonight.
What was he wearing?
His suit, he usually does too much, but his suit was so clean. And I was like, and he loves prime time. So I went with that. And it's only a quarter. And then Dexter Lawrence, I know he's been hurt, but I think this is a mispriced number regardless. He's playing, and I think he's always in contention to get a sack. So to be priced at plus 190 to get a quarter sack, it just felt like it felt a little free there.
Cool. I put a few of these down. I put one.
Yeah.
I put your Jordan Love interception one down too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, those always hit.
Yeah, they do.
Every time I look at them, I'm like, yeah, Steph did again.
Yeah. The only guy that screwed me this year is I feel like I'm always off when it comes to Dak, but he's also been playing cleaner football than normal.
I know. Props to Dak. We'll see what they do on the road though.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different ball game. All right, so we got about 10-ish minutes. Well, we got a little bit more time, but I thought we could cook up a SGP.
Yeah, let's do it. Because when I came on last time, we only missed by 1.
Yeah, because I got greedy. You remember what it was?
It was Herbert, right?
Yeah. And I was like, well, if he gets 15 rush yards, he can get 25.
Yeah.
And then he ended up, I think, with 17. So
yeah, we got 2 now. But we did make the right choice because we took Gallup 3 receptions, and I had him in a bunch over the 3.5.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He screwed me.
Yeah, what's been going on with Gallup lately?
I don't know. I think they're out on him.
Yeah, I really think they are too. He did have a touchdown last night, but
yeah,
poor guy. I'm on DraftKings, but it doesn't.
I'm on too. That's
okay.
Cool.
Let's just, since most people have that. Trying to see like some of our favorites.
What are your favorites from these games? I feel like I've been.
Yeah, so that Patrick Taylor one could be sneaky, but I also don't want to get too cute. But that's one that we could kind of put in the mix. What else? I don't think you can do sacks. Can you on SGPs? Or
I think you might be able to actually.
Because that would be kind of interesting.
Rushing.
Defensive
Patrick Taylor is plus 110 to go over 14.5.
Yeah, you can do sacks. Let's do this. Let's go to the Giants game.
Okay.
And let's just take a look at some of the sacks.
I just put a unit on Patrick Taylor.
Nice.
I had to.
No, I think it makes
I think it makes sense. Yeah.
His efficiency, like AJ Dillon's efficiency, like, and God forbid he gets hurt, but I'm like, he's next up. So
yeah. And if Jordan Love starts to make mistakes, they might try to just establish something on the ground.
Yeah.
And with Jones out. So
okay, so
I hate it.
Tackles, assists. Okay, so actually we don't really have sacks. We have tackles, but
oh, I see. So they'll do tackles, assists.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
They do team? No, I don't think they have that either. At least you can't do them in the SGP.
Right.
Because I think there'd be too much correlation. I feel like you
probably
could really find something there.
Right.
I didn't really have much dig that for sides and totals. Steffi gave out some pretty crazy long shots for a touchdown. But I don't know. Packers and Giants. I mean, Saquon's, he's going to be close to even, right?
Let's see what is. Yeah, I wonder what is his number. I actually stayed away from it because I just, again, like when I know it's going to be a really popular choice, I'd rather take an alt line on him, if anything. Like his number's at 70.5 right now.
What about for a touchdown though?
Let's see.
I bet it's going to be like plus 110 or something like that.
Yeah, plus 110.
Yeah, I typically like to play some longer shot type plays for touchdown.
For sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the SGP here. So, I mean, we technically can do both games.
We could.
They let you do that. You can't do longest rush or longest.
I hate that.
Yeah, which
you could do it on ESPN Bet, but I haven't pulled the trigger and downloaded it yet.
You should download it. You get the 4 free $50 bets. There's like no strings attached. It's kind of nice. You know how sometimes you're like, oh, I got to do this and that and this and like you place a $10 bet, and then all 4 of them are in there. And also, here's something you can do if you're super conservative. Like you don't have to do this, but anyone in chat could do this. You technically could do an over under and like use the $50 bet on each side, and then do that for 2 different bets, and you guarantee yourself like basically $100 profit.
Oh, but
you could just, I personally just would build a SGP and
for sure
you can hit big. So
yeah, I'll have to do it because I feel like I've had a lot of success with these longest receptions lately and longest rush. So I should do that because you can actually parlay them.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
It is cool.
Okay, so let's see here. Just going off of like what we have on the ticker, we have Jaden Reed.
His receptions.
Yeah, which I feel like that can hit a lot of different ways.
I'm with you on that.
So that would probably be one of my favorites. Let's see here. I just want to see what it is on DraftKings. There's all sorts of props. There it is. Ooh, see, it's 160. But we are throwing this in SGP, so we'll see. Okay, whatever.
Who the fuck the week Heath?
I know. So we haven't talked about him. See, he's like the Wicks of week 2, right?
Okay.
Or at least like playing that position.
Yeah.
Filling that void, that deeper wide receiver. But he's actually not bad. I mean, he did get, I think,
the last 2 games. Yeah, I don't know.
He got some targets, right?
He had 1 reception for 15 yards. It was 1 15-yard catch. 4 receptions for 46.
Was that the last game he had 4 or 1?
Last game he had 1.
Yeah, West by God. That's actually a really good point, but
it is true. But
I mean,
that's all right.
There's a lot of ways you could get limited on there. So, anyways, let's see here.
Who did you like in the Titans game?
Yeah, the Titans game. It's just tough because if they get up,
I know.
But I mean, I think some of these lines are maybe they're adjusted a little bit for that. Spears is interesting.
What's his rushing?
Rushing's at 20.
That's come up because I think it did open 18 or 19.
Waddle. It's a maybe. I mean, we can always play unders too.
That's true. We could.
Oh, I like the Tua under pass attempts.
Okay. Did they let you put pass attempts on? Okay, cool. They do. Okay. So under 31.5.
Yeah, let's do that.
That with Reed over receptions is already at plus 225.
Okay. Oh, but let me see. We might have to do, I think you have to do 1 or 2 plays in each game, right? Or no, you got to do at least
2 of 1.
2 and 1.
Yeah.
So what's the other one you have? You have Reed, and then you had another one in the package.
I have Reed and 2. Let's see.
It's just saying you can't parlay these 2. That's at least
so weird. It's letting me.
What the heck? That's discriminatory, DraftKings.
That's so rude. What the hell is that?
Yeah, it's saying you have to add 1 more
That's so weird. It's literally letting me do it.
Yeah, that's weird.
That is bizarre. Okay, so let's pick one more. Let me see.
Hold on. Let me get out of that and try it again.
Oh my gosh, Wix is up to 38.5. They said we have to be on an interception.
Oh yeah, that's true, huh?
I'm in on any of those guys to throw on. So, do you have a preference
For
to throw an interception?
You want to do Love?
We can.
What's your favorite? Because I mean, you've been.
I mean, I think Levis is definitely throwing one. I gave out Love. DeVito's number is probably ridiculous. I'm sure it's not even.
Mm-hmm.
DeVito is minus 160 to throw an interception.
I mean, we're doing an SGP, so
That's
it's like
true.
whatever we can throw it in there. Oh, and I think the reason why is because I was under like the tap here to build SGP. I think if I just go outside of it, then
it works.
Yeah, so let me try that. That's probably why. I mean, sometimes that even confuses me. So passing props to under.
When's the last time DeVito threw one too? I don't think he's thrown one in.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to I think we should.
DeVito hasn't thrown one in 2 games.
So he's due.
He's pretty
Is
due.
he? You think he is?
Thrown one in 2 games.
Let me ask you this: has there been some close calls?
Yeah. I also just think that this is the game, sadly, that for Giants fans, I think there's a chance that it's not. Except, wait, is Green Bay secondary a little banged up? Not that it really matters. I think he's going to have some ridiculous and it's prime time. Like I could see this going very poorly for him.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Let's see what happens if you put it in there.
Okay, I'm just gonna add read back to this.
Cheers. Okay, let's see. God, it's like freezing. What is everyone on DraftKings or something?
Yeah, we're all.
Jesus.
Probably. I mean, imagine how many people are actually like on this screen right now. It's got to be in the millions, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, so if you add DeVito to this, it gets you to plus 440.
Okay, that tickles my fancy a little bit.
Yeah.
DeVito. Okay, I'm gonna add interceptions over. Okay, and why did it go? And then I had Tua. I don't know why that disappeared. Pass attempts. Okay. Yeah, so I'm at 440. Okay. If we try to get, well, I don't want to get like too cute, but if we do think like Tua and the Dolphins get up big, yeah, if we play a running back prop though, that's already going to be kind of priced accordingly.
I almost feel like if we're going to play a Dolphins running back, it's kind of, do you think it's worth doing an anytime touchdown?
It could be. I mean, here's another thing to think about. Again, I don't want to like over complicate this, but if we did like a Tyreek Hill touchdown though, it's like you're not going to get the best odds though, right?
No.
What is that? I'm just curious to see what it does.
Plus,
yeah,
no. If you had an A chain, it's a little bit more enticing. Plus 850.
That's weird that it jumps up that much.
I know.
Can we trust him?
I don't know. I usually try to stay away from anytime touchdowns.
Yeah, I know, me too. Okay, let's just get out of that.
Let's not get cute.
Because there's enough to find. Okay, so receiving yards though, or receptions, we have mentioned Spears and we also mentioned Chig.
Yes, we have. Spears is at 15. Chig is a little too high. That's why I kind of liked his longest reception. What's the receptions at?
Well, we can't put that in there, right?
Braxton
Oh,
Berrios.
just receptions.
Yeah, I'm thinking yeah, just long like receptions.
850 plus 850
for Chig.
Well, that's what it comes out to, yeah, when you add that.
Okay.
So I have Reed receptions, DeVito interceptions, and then Tua under attempts, and then Chig over 3.5 receptions.
I kind of hate the Chig thing the more I think about it.
Well, we could take it out. Chat, what do you guys like?
Yeah, I was gonna say, does the chat like anything?
Because then we can go 3 or 4, and then chat loses, and then we blame you guys.
And then we can blame someone. Yeah. I'm down for that.
Instead of me.
I can get down with that.
I'm just trying to think, like, the Waddle is interesting because when you put Waddle in there, I guess it's 8.6 plus 860, so it's
I got 880.
but it's at minus 160.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think the computer, the algorithm is it's seen you have Tua under, but then a Waddle over.
Right.
But I think from a game theory perspective, it does make sense. It's just
I don't disagree.
But we could get in a position where it's like, oh, we need like one more catch out of Waddle, and Tua's sitting at like 29.
Right.
Really dicey,
right.
But he also could just hit this pretty soon. So I don't know. That's just one other option.
Yeah. What are they saying in the chat? I want to blame the chat on this.
A-Chain, 17 carries. What else could we do for
Spears,
A-Chain?
20.5 seems kind of low too.
What about A-Chain but not a touchdown? What if we did? Let me see what this comes out to.
His alt lines suck, to be honest.
I know they're really. Burks over receptions was 1.5. I was looking at that too.
Interesting. I don't hate it because I do think that they'll try to be all over Hopkins. Like I foresee that kind of happening. What's his receptions at?
I think it's 1.5.
Okay. Has he done anything the last couple of weeks? Like I
haven't even looked at that, but I do trust Jay Ballin because he is a big Tennessee guy, and I've known him for years betting wise. So
and also like 2 catches is like not that big of a deal.
It's really not that big a deal.
Yeah. I don't hate it.
All right, I actually like that.
Let's do it.
We're going to be down,
Get gross a little bit. So he had nothing last week, but I mean, he was getting targeted.
He was limited snaps last week though.
Okay.
So maybe he's going to be back at full strength and then.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Why not?
And then we can blame Jeremy.
There you go.
So receptions.
Cool.
Okay, that comes out to plus 837.
Yeah, I like it. I'm here for it.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go over them one more time. Jaden Reed, receptions over 3.5. Tommy DeVito, interceptions over, not under, over.
Yeah.
Over 0.5. So, yes, if they're at least 1. So that's the Packers-Giants game. And then in the Titans-Dolphins, we have Tua under passing attempts, 31.5. And then Treylon Burks receptions over 1.5.
Okay. I like it.
There it is. And then we hit this and we buy our family Christmas presents and everyone will be happy.
Exactly.
Oh, isn't there something weird tonight with like the simulcast? I thought I saw something where they're
trying to do both, right? I know Kirk is going to be on, which is his first interview since he got hurt.
Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to tune in for that. My wife is like, I love Kirk.
I love him. Yeah. And it's interesting. He hasn't gone on like even a radio shows or really anything. So I'll be interested to see what he has to say.
So it was funny because we watched that documentary, the quarterbacks documentary, and Kirk Cousins is one. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, my wife is like, oh my God, I love Kirk. And then when he tore his Achilles or whatever, she was like coming downstairs, and like usually when I tell her injuries, she's like, "Oh, that sucks," like
Yeah.
whatever. And she was like, "Oh no, Kirk."
Not
And then she
Kirk.
like sat down and she's like, what was it? And I'm like, yeah, pretty sure his Achilles popped.
Oh my gosh. I know. I was so
That's a tough one.
heartbroken because I think we'd be having some seriously different conversations about the rest of the season if he was playing. Yeah, I had him passing yards leader, a bunch of stuff. So that hurt a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Heisberg, he's been limited a lot. So I think he's hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hopefully get some more run tonight. I gotta actually lock this in before I forget. That would be so dumb if I didn't lock it in. And then everyone's like, yeah, great hit, guys. And I'm like, oh shit. That would be the first time I forgot to make a bet on stream.
Right.
There you go. Okay. Cool. Oh, actually, it just moved to 834.
Nice.
So WC of E, 3 cents of CLV.
There we go. Look at us.
Yeah, there we go. Any last words for any Giants fans, or
I don't think so.
Who are you guys going to draft next year?
It's a good question. It's going to depend a lot. I'm under the impression we win at least one more game. Part of that is right before that first Commanders loss, I did take the Giants over 4.5 wins at like plus 195, and it fell right after that game. So, but I do foresee them winning. They're going to sneak out one more win. I think this team, they're just one of those teams that they're not going to try to tank. So, it kind of depends where they're at and what happens. I think that if Shane really likes a guy, I could see him moving up, but there's so many needs on this team that, you could wait and try to grab a stud there in the second. We also have the Seahawks second round pick that we got from Leonard Williams, which is going to end up paying. I think that's going to end up being a really pivotal part of the Giants draft because I think they can use that piece to move back into the first if they need to.
Yeah. What about Daniel Jones?
I think that they just end up, he's going to start next year. They're going to have to address the quarterback situation regardless of if they think Jones is the guy. And then, that contract was set up so that they can get out of it fit. I'm not going to say easily, but, a little bit more team friendly after next year. I don't even know if I see that happening. I've also heard rumbles. I don't know how true it is that if another team was interested in him, they would look to potentially letting him go elsewhere. So we'll see. They're going to be an interesting one to watch this draft.
They really are going to be. Like, that's one team I'm definitely curious, what they end up doing. So.
Especially with how good their defense is playing. I just think that a couple more pieces there as these players get older too. They're very, very young team. So I think people forget that. I think that the Giants could have a really down year that we're in right now, and then you kind of see them go back to this more average team next year.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, you got to start building. So
yeah,
cool. All right, guys, we're gonna call it. The game start in 2 minutes, and Steffi has to watch her. What do you call them? The not the boys. That's the fucking cow. That would have been embarrassing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no.
The Giants,
the G-men,
the G-men, the fucking G-men. All right, well, best of luck.
Yeah, see you guys.
DeVito season. All right, guys.